have you join us in Housing TV News at the top of the hour. I am Mimuna Bagudu. Here are the top stories. President Tinubu approves $108 billion to assist states affected with natural disaster. Federal government raises over $900 million in landmark dollar bond. Dengiwa partners World Bank on urban resilience, land titling and registration. Nigerian Institute of Architects advocates made in Nigeria building materials. NCDC confirms 168 deaths in Nigeria due to Lassa fever. 4 killed, 7 rescued as soldiers raid bandits camp in Kaduna State. In business, National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Google launched 100 million naira AI fund. On the foreign scene, Hungary's decrees exclude Ukrainian refugees from state-funded shelter. In sports, Junior Tigers defeat Egypt 6-6 to 5-1 at AfroBasket semi-finals. Now the news in detail. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved 108 billion naira to help states combat natural disasters, including the ongoing flooding crisis. Each state will receive 3 billion naira in emergency funds to address the damage. The flooding has already affected several states in the north, while many southern states, particularly in the southeast, are facing severe erosion risk. Kaduna is also grappling with similar challenges. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET has warned of more rainfall, predicting an increased risk of flooding as the year progresses. Now, Nigeria has successfully launched its first domestic dollar-denominated bond, raising over $900 million. This milestone signals a new chapter in the country's financial strategy aimed at boosting economic resilience and fostering long-term growth. Led by the African Finance, the initiative gained significant interest from both local and international investors, demonstrating confidence in President Bola Tinubu's economic policies and development plans. The success of these bonds sends a new precedent for other African nations, highlighting the potential of Africa's financial markets on the global stage. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has praised the outcome. He stated that the launch of the initiative will not only strengthen Nigerians' economic resilience, but also expand the horizon for capital markets of African economies. The overwhelming response from investors reflects the growing interest in Nigerians' economic opportunities and the broader investment potential of Africa. With these bond issuance, Nigeria is positioning itself as a leader in financial innovation, driving both national and regional growth through strategic economic measures. The funds raised from these bonds will be directed towards critical infrastructure projects and development programs, further strengthening key sectors of Nigeria's economy. Now, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development and the World Bank Group have resolved to work together towards addressing the 90% of land in Nigeria that is unregistered and untitled. The move is aimed at making the nation's vast land assets more economically viable and unlocking over $300 billion in dead capital tied up in such undocumented land. This was the outcome of a courtesy call on the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Dengiwa, by a delegation of the World Bank led by its Vice President for Infrastructure, Gwanje Shen, in Abuja. One of the areas of the collaboration is the National Land Registration and Titling Program in partnership with the state governments. The minister added that land registration and titling will open up sources of revenue for the states who can boost their income through ground rent, certificates of occupancy and tax accruing from increased investment in real estate. President of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Architect Mobolade Adeniyi, has encouraged the use of locally manufactured building materials in Nigeria amidst the country's economic challenges. Speaking at Archibuilt, a building exposition program in Abuja, the NIA president said the program focuses primarily on products that are based and manufactured in Nigeria.
He talked about using local materials. This is one thing that we are trying to encourage. Let's use our local materials. If you look at our exhibition, you see a lot of tiles made in Nigeria. You don't have to use tiles brought in from Spain or Italy. Look at the transportation cost. Look at, the dollar-naira exchange rate. Why don't we begin to grow our own industries here? So it's a challenge for us. Sometimes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. It's a challenge for local manufacturers to look at ways in which we can begin to ensure that our products also meet international standards and are acceptable by the Nigerians, and then we can use more of our local materials in order to bring down costs.
The event underscored the need for collective action to promote locally manufactured building materials and address the housing challenges in Nigeria with a clear focus on sustainable development and the future of the country's built environment. Now, thousands of residents are being relocated to safe ground by the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, after massive flooding hit Maiduguri, the state capital, on Tuesday. According to reports, the flood occurred following the overflowing of the Alawu Dam, leaving many houses, schools, and major markets submerged. Zulum took time to visit the flooded areas, including the Shehu of Borno Palace, where he assured the royal father, His Eminence, Alhaji Abubakar Ibn Umar Garba Al-Amin El-Kanem, that measures are being taken to address the situation. The Borno State Governor, through the Borno State Emergency Flood Response Committee, led by the Secretary to the state government, Alhaji Bukar Tijani, currently accommodating flood-displaced persons in 5 camps. Meanwhile, major streets including the popular Lagos Street, Monday Market, Shehu's Palace, Borno State House of Assembly and Kofa View, amongst other places, are currently flooded. Similar flooding ravaged the ancient city of Maiduguri 30 years ago, leaving many residents displaced after the overflowing of Alawu Dam. Still on flooding, the Yobe state government has issued a fresh flood alert to 9 local government areas due to the impending release of water from the Dadonkowa and Lagdo dams. The Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Mohammed Goji, who gave the warning in a statement on Tuesday. He said that the release of water from the 2 dams would add to the predicament of residents of the areas who were already affected by recent flooding triggered by torrential rains. Goje mentioned that Yobe experienced significant flooding between April 15th and September 9th, 2024, causing widespread devastation across several local government areas. According to reports, over 19,000 households across 432 communities had so far been hit by floods in the state. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has confirmed a total of 168 deaths, including 17 probable, due to Lassa fever between January and August 2024. This represents a case fatality rate of 17.1% out of the 7,973 suspected cases reported across 137 local government areas in 28 states in its latest update. The agency revealed that 982 Lassa fever cases were confirmed during this period, even as it noted that 34 healthcare workers have been affected by the disease. Highlighting the agency's Lassa fever response efforts, the Director General of the NCDC, Dr. Jide Idris, outlined the response activities, which he said include conducting the 2024 National Lassa Fever After Action Review Workshop, hosting multi-sectoral Lassa Fever webinar series, and participating in the Lassa Fever Task Force Secretariat meeting with the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. As part of measures to secure necessary political and financial support, Idris noted that the NCDC had engaged in high-level advocacy with governors and commissioners' forums, even as the agency was committed to ensuring adequate resources for outbreak response. 4 suspected bandits have been neutralized and 7 abducted victims rescued after soldiers raised a bandit camp in the Kasangwe forest in Kagaruko local government area of Kaduna State. A resident, Labaran Shehu, stated that the raid was carried out on Monday around 4 p.m. when the troops led by 2 hunters stormed the forest. The eyewitness mentioned that the 7 rescued victims, including 2 women, were abducted on their farms from neighboring Sardauna village. A community leader who confirmed the incident said that the bandits retreated after they were overpowered. As of filing this report, the spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command, ASP Hassan Mansour, could not be reached for comment. The Executive Secretary of the Global Youth Consortium Against Female Genital Mutilation, Dr. Costley Aderibigbe Saba, has urged African leaders to focus on investing in youth-led enterprises and simplifying visa and border policies. She disclosed this during a statement marking African Union Day 2024. Aderibigbe Saba emphasized the importance of harmonizing visa and border regulations across the 55 African Union member states to promote smoother trade and labor mobility. This, she believes, will significantly enhance economic integration across the continent. She further noted that such reforms would not only boost trade but also provide greater opportunities for young entrepreneurs, fostering growth and innovation in Africa's emerging markets. More stories will come your way after this break. Stay with us.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts. On Facebook, Housing TV Africa. On Twitter, Housing TV Africa. Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
Welcome back. Now to business. Nigeria is grappling with severe health and economic impacts due to open defecation, which costs the country around £1.5 billion annually. These includes expenses for medical treatment and losses from diseases like cholera and diarrhea, which are worsened by poor sanitation. In response, the Nigerian government and UNICEF held a private sector consultation in Lagos this week to push forward the Clean Nigerian campaign. The goal is to eradicate open defecation by 2030 in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Despite ongoing efforts, only 126 out of 774 local governments have achieved open defecation-free status. Experts, including UNICEF's Dr. Jane Bevan, stressed the need for increased investment and private sector involvement to address the sanitation crisis, with 48 million Nigerians still lacking access to proper toilets. Nigeria's crude oil output experienced a modest increase in August, reaching 1.352 million barrels per day, as revealed by OPEC's latest monthly oil market report. This marks a slight rise from July's production of 1.307 million barrels per day. Despite this uptick of 45,000 barrels per day, the report contradicts the federal government's earlier claims that crude production was nearly 1.6 million barrels per day. The discrepancy raises questions about the accuracy of the government figures. President Bola Tinubu had previously credited reforms in the Petroleum Industry Act for boosting production to 1.6 MBPs, a figure not reflected in the OPEC's report. Now, the National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, in collaboration with Google, have launched the Artificial Intelligence Fund, a 100 million naira initiative to support Nigerian startups developing AI-driven solutions. This announcement was made disclosed by Google. The fund is part of a broader strategy by the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to leverage AI for advancing development and innovation in Nigeria. The initiative is expected to boost technological progress and contribute to the overall well-being of the nation by empowering emerging tech ventures with essential resources. Still on Housing TV News at the top of the hour, now moving on to the foreign scene. The Hungarian government has enacted a controversial decree that bridges EU laws, effectively terminating state-funded housing for refugees from Western Ukraine. According to reports, this decision has left approximately 3,000 Ukrainian refugees, primarily women and children, without shelter. According to the Hungarian Helsinki Committee, the new policy restricts access to state-funded accommodation only to refugees from areas deemed severely affected by the conflict, ignoring other parts of Ukraine. This decree, which took effect on August 21st, overturns a previous policy that limited housing to particularly vulnerable groups. Lydia Gall from Human Rights Watch condemned the move, calling it a severe injustice to those who fled war. She urged the European Commission to intervene and ensure that Hungary adhered to its EU obligations by repealing the decree. Now in sports. Nigerians under-18 women's basketball team, the Junior Tigress, secured a victory against Egypt with a score of 66-51 to advance to the semi-finals of the 2024 AfroBasket Under-18 Women's Championship in Pretoria, South Africa. The Nigerian team dominated from the start, leading 24-13 in the first quarter and maintaining a strong position with a halftime score of 37-23. Despite Egypt's efforts, they could not close the gap by the end of the game. The Junior Tigress will face Uganda in the semi-finals on Friday, while Cameroon and Mali will compete in the other match. This win is particularly significant as it was a rematch, with Egypt having previously defeated Nigeria 72-60. Kylian Mbappe's team has declined the French Football League's proposal for mediation in the dispute with Paris Saint-Germain over 55 million euros in unpaid wages and bonuses. Mbappe asserts that PSG owes him these amounts, which includes a signing bonus, the last 3 months of his salary, and an ethical bonus from his previous contract. PSG, however, argues that Mbappe has agreed to forgo these payments in August 2023 before his transfer to Real Madrid. After a meeting between lawyers from both parties and the LFP's legal committee, the LFP recommended mediation to resolve the conflict. However, Mbappe's representations have rejected his suggestion. That's the much we can take on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Before we go, here is a recap of our top stories. President Tinubu approves 108 billion naira to assist states affected with natural disaster. Federal government raises over $900 million in landmark dollar bond. Dengiwa partners World Bank on urban resilience, land titling and registration. Nigerian Institute of Architects advocates made in Nigerian building materials. NCDC confirms 168 deaths in Nigeria due to Lassa fever. 4 killed, 7 rescued as soldiers raid bandits camp in Kaduna. In business, National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Google, launched 100 million naira AI fund. On the foreign scene, Hungary's decrees exclude Ukrainian refugees from state-funded shelter. And in sports, Junior Tigress defeat Egypt 6-6-5-1 at AfroBasket semi-finals. To get more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms. And don't forget to download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store to stay connected. I'm Mimuna Bagodo. Thanks for watching.